What's up everybody, my name is Ron Empire, and today we're going to take a look at the Darfall Scenario Editor features and mechanics. Thank you Paradox Arc for sponsoring this video, and Square Knight, the developers, for working with me in creating this guide. Darfall is a hero-based RPG survival city builder with a built-in map editor that lets you create your own scenario mission maps and even your own campaigns. As a disclaimer, some of the information presented here may change in the future as the game gets more updates. Here are the topics we're going to touch on: Scenario Editor Basics, how to use the map editor, share your scenarios, my maze game example, create your own game modes. When you click on the Scenario Editor button from the main menu, it will bring up the Scenario Management interface. At the top of the screen, you can click on the Documentation button, and it will open up a web page for the Darfall Scenario Editor, giving you a short manual. Right below that is the box for creating your own scenario, loading up the built-in editor. Simply type in the name of your scenario and hit the Create button. I'll go over how the editor works in my next topic segment. At the bottom of the screen, there are two buttons: My Scenarios and Mod.io. The My Scenario button will give you a list of your scenarios if you've made any from using the editor. The Mod.io button will show you a list of scenarios that you've subscribed to from the Mod.io scenarios created by the community. You can browse the Mod.io scenarios by clicking on this button right above it. This will take you to the Mod.io scenario interface. Here, you can browse all the maps made by other players, including ones made by the developers. If you create a scenario yourself and choose to upload to the Mod.io, it will appear here. The sample Farmer Encounter and the sample Champion of the Arena map are made by the developers. Clicking a scenario allows you to preview more details about the map. You can upvote or downvote on maps, or report a map for any issues listed. To play a scenario, you'll need to hit the subscribe button, or unsubscribe if you no longer wish to add it to your collection. At the top of the Mod.io Scenarios interface is the Collection tab. Clicking on this lets you view your subscribed scenarios and manage them. The first button allows you to disable the scenario from appearing in the Scenario Editor interface. This doesn't remove the scenario from your collection. Click on the Unsubscribe button if you wish to remove it completely from your collection. More Options lets you access voting and reporting. In the Scenario Editor interface, you can play a scenario by hitting the Play button. Some scenarios allow you to modify them with the Edit button that appears before the Play button. Clicking on this button opens up the built-in editor tool. If you don't see the Edit button when browsing the Mod.io list, it is because the player who created the map decided to disable editing. The developer has made their maps available for editing, so you can use those to learn from. If you want to see the gameplay for these maps, check out my YouTube video where I play these scenarios. As mentioned earlier, you can hit the Edit button from a scenario that you've previously created, or a downloaded one from the Mod.io, or by entering a scenario name and hitting the Create button. Let's launch the editor. First, let's go over the user interface for the editor. Starting from the top left corner, we've got the Exit Editor button, the Autosave toggle. Enabling this autosaves your work. You can actually disable this if you want. This allows you to manually save. If you disable the autosave, it's very important that you hit this button regularly and right before you exit. This opens the documentation web page. This is the file name that is used to save your work. This button here is the Trigger Editor. I'll go over an example later on how to use the Trigger Editor. This is the Quest Editor. This is the Scenario Tools. Here we have Map Options that lets you change the parameters for your map. This button lets you view all the global variables. Here we have the Data Editor. This allows you to modify or add data for your scenario maps, such as scenario tags or new items. This button brings up the console window, giving you a little log file of the various different things that's happening, and errors. The Undo History button brings up a list of all the things that you've done, allowing you to click on them to undo things. The Play Map button lets you test your scenario by auto-saving your work and then launching the game with some debug tools. And over here, we have a time preview slider bar This lets you check out the different times of the day. So if you want to see what it's like at certain hours, you can slide this bar. This does not affect your actual creation. And over here, we have the coordinates for where your mouse is located in the world map. You can zoom out using the scroll wheel on your middle mouse button, and you can pan around by holding the middle mouse button down. And then on the left side here is the map objects list. This allows you to view all the different things that you've added onto your scenario map. And these are the filter buttons that you can click on. The middle buttons right below the top bar allows you to adjust your objects that you've placed on the map and the camera view. Now let's go over the essential things to get you started. The scenario editor can be overwhelming the first time you launch it. I recommend starting with the map options. You want to properly name your scenario here and give it a description. Here you can set up the rules for your map. This allows you to adjust the size of the map. What you choose here all really depends on the type of scenario you want to make. For example, you can disable the night and day feature of the game, so the clock and lighting doesn't change at all. Start hour sets the time of the day. You can use the preview slider here to see what time value to use. Since the game defaults with the fog of war on, you won't be able to see anything. Thus, you will need at least a map object that has visibility on the map. To do this, use the scenario tool. This will give you a list of objects to add to the map. I recommend that you choose a player hero, as this gives you more options and choices for map interaction. It's important to note that this player hero tag is different from player warrior tag. Since the game is a hero-based game, the player hero object has special built-in interaction triggers that you can use. Otherwise, you'll have to create your own trigger rules. When launching the game, the camera by default points to the bottom left corner of the map. You might want to set the camera focus on your hero or a different location on the map. To do this, we use the trigger feature. In the trigger screen, create a new trigger. In the event section, search for map and pick initialize map. And then on action, search for cam and choose fly to camera position. Then choose a location on the map or click on your hero. Keep in mind, the things I'm showing you are just suggestions and examples to get you started with creating your own map. Once you learn all the various things the editor can do, you might come up with your own creative ways to make use of these mechanics. It's entirely possible to create a map without a unit and use special effects to create lighting, or create action to disable the fog, revealing the entire map. Now we're going to test the map out by clicking on this play button. You can now move your hero around the map. Since the map has no win or lose condition, there isn't a proper way to end the map. From here, you can exit back to the editor with this button. Once you've created a scenario, you can share it to the community on mod.io. To do this, simply go to the map options and choose the Upload Scenario tab. Be sure to enter your name in the author box. The Hidden from Player option is for maps that are a part of a campaign. Next, you'll want to create a thumbnail for your mod. You can choose to upload your own or take a screenshot of your map. You can choose to make the map editable or others to use if you want. Give your mod a name and a description. Then hit the upload button. If you make changes and update your map later, you can adjust the version number. Let's browse the mod.io to see if the upload works. And there you have it, we've uploaded a successful mod. So, I made a short, simple maze game example to demonstrate what you can do with the scenario editor. This scenario, by the way, is available on mod.io for you guys to download and edit. The idea I had was a simple maze game with 4 portals at each corner of the map. At the start of the game, the winning door is randomized. One of the portal will trigger a win if you find it. In this scenario, I disabled the building menu and all the resource interface, including the night and day cycle. If you guys wanted to, you could build on this map, adding monsters and decorate it with more trees. You could make it more interesting by spawning a boss at the winning door and trigger the win after beating the boss. The losing door could trigger a treasure chest and increase the monster difficulty if you choose to add monsters around the maze. Feel free to subscribe to this map and have fun with it. Almost all the mechanics that you see in the campaign and survival mode can be recreated in the scenario editor. The Darfall Scenario Map Editor is a powerful tool that lets you create your own game mode. Here are some ideas on what you can create with the editor. Want to make your own scripted story mission map? You can with the triggers and quest features. You can create a role-playing game mode with a hero exploring the world and meeting various NPCs. You can create a no-combat city-building game mode that relies strictly on resource management. Create a tower defense game with a spawn point and path towards your keep. Create your own gladiator arena game, a gauntlet game, or classic Zelda-style game. The scenario editor even allows you to create your own campaign where multiple maps can be connected, sharing persistent data across the maps with the map linking feature. The game mode that you ultimately create is only limited by your creativity and your imagination. This concludes the Darfall Scenario Editor features and mechanics. I'm Ron Empire, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you find this video useful. And thank you again Paradox Arc for sponsoring this video, and Square Knight for this amazing game. If this video helps you in any way, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my other Darfall guides.